Welcome back to the channel, guys. Owner Arna is here, and today I'll show you an exceptional team page that I bought for a really good price, and I'll show you exactly how I did it, how I'm growing it to over 10,000 followers every single day by implementing our systems, and what I'm gonna do with it down the line. Let's jump straight into it. So first of all, welcome back to the channel. This is my personal Instagram. My name is Owner Arnas. I've been running pages just like Passionate Income for the past almost 5 years now, okay? And drum roll, the page that I bought recently is called Paranormity. You can look it up if it's still up there. Maybe he's changed the username. Maybe it's been sold. I don't know. But this is my page right now, and I'm super stoked about it. Why? Because if you look on Social Blade, and I just refresh the stats, boom, here we go. We had multiple days. Here you can see 11,000 followers growth in a day, 10.8K followers growth in a day. And then yesterday we had like almost a 7,000 day. Today it's 5.6K and it's only before 5 p.m. Okay, so the day hasn't ended yet. So I'm super stoked about this acquisition, and let's kind of uncover the numbers and everything that went into it, why I bought it, how I bought it, and how you can buy it as well and profit from this. So this is super simple. I've been running these pages for the past, like I said, almost 5 years. I bought many pages. I sold many pages. At one point, I was running 207 pages at the same time, okay, with a team of like 11 or 12 people. It was crazy, as you can imagine. And then I sold off a bunch of pages, and I was like, you know what? I'll just keep my bigger pages. And in the past month, I bought 4 pages, which I'd like to keep them, most of them, kind of private. But this one, I think is a great example, and I just want to share it with you guys. So first of all, the page Paranormity, it just had 181,000 followers. And I checked this before, just filming this video. So I want to break down everything. So the acquisition, basically details, were super simple. I bought the page at 104,000 followers, okay? I paid $650 for the page. So I paid $6.25 per 1,000 followers, which is super cheap, right? And then the current state, right now, the page has grown to 181,000 followers. Wait for it, in only 3 weeks. Okay, I bought the page 3 weeks ago, and I grew the page by 77,000 followers in the past 3 weeks. Okay, which is a 74% increase in less than a month. Okay, so hopefully we hit 100% increase in the first month, but we can't guarantee that really. So why this was an exceptional buy? First of all, super cool guy who was selling it. The transition was super smooth. We just jumped on a Zoom call, chatted on WhatsApp later. Everything's smooth, everything's good. And usually these pages will range typically anywhere from like $10 per 1,000 followers to like $25 per 1,000 followers. Obviously, it depends on the size. The bigger the page, the more you'll pay per follower. And this really applies to pages around 100K followers, right? But I bought it at $6.25 per 1,000 followers. And this purchase is approximately, let's say, at least half of what an average person would pay, right? So what I pretty much did is I identified one thing about this page. I identified that this page was growing super quick. I mean, not super quick, but around 1,000 followers a day, maybe sometimes 800 followers a day, maybe sometimes 500 followers a day. But what I realized is that the previous owner really was posting like one time a day, maybe. Sometimes kind of slacking off, not being super active. Sometimes just posting 5 times a week, right? And then I realized another thing. He's not really using any systems that I'm usually using and my clients are usually using. I was like, what would happen if I would just implement our systems, right? So I identified that, and I said, you know what? I'll buy the page. I paid him $650 for the page, and then I paid 50 euros, let's say $55, for him to share SOPs, standard operating procedures of how he was running the page before exactly. like step by step how he would find the content, what time he would post. I asked him to send me all his Canva templates, everything basically. He did that. I logged into the page. I didn't post a single post. I just sent everything to my VA and I said, hey, do exactly what he was doing. Just, adjust these few little things and start posting 3 times a day rather than once a day. And we went from growing basically 1K followers per day to growing 11,000 followers per day, right? Which is pretty crazy. So now it's been a few weeks. The page is at 181,000 followers. And the plan really is to grow to 250K followers before really deciding the next steps. And I can take many routes from here. Really, for me, I could probably sell it for 10 times more than I bought it at 250K followers, right? I could probably sell it for, let's say, 6 grand or whatever. But really, for me, like $5,000 profit, not to sound cocky or anything, that's not what I'm really after. I'm after the long-term vision, right? Because I've been buying a lot of pages recently and building my network. So really, I could do many different things. So far, the way I look at the ROI is that we're growing like crazy, and we haven't put in that much time or effort. So we increased definitely the following, which I could sell the page for 10 times more, but that's not what I'm gonna do. I could sell it for that, but the other options are rebranding it, starting to promote whatever memes, casinos, OF, whatever, if you're into that, or just like standard monetization process, like growing a newsletter, selling digital products. All of that I can definitely do with this page, which is pretty simple. Or another way is just to hold the page for a while and not really do anything, because it doesn't cost me much to have my VA. I already have the VA. I just gave her more work. Really doesn't cost me that much money to keep on running the page and growing it. And if I'm growing 5, 10K followers a day, in no time we'll reach 1 million followers. And that's when, I can go after really big brand deals. So I guess why most people miss this opportunity is they know they can do this, what I just showed. It just the fear of the unknown. They just don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe I'm gonna get scammed, whatever. How do I find these deals? Like, so many questions pop up, and a lot of uncertainty in this space right now for sure, because there's a lot of scams going on in the theme page business right now. A lot of people getting their theme pages stolen very badly in these type of transactions. Another thing is lack of systems. I know a lot of people buy pages without really knowing what they're doing. They log into the page, the transaction went through smoothly, and then they don't know what to do. They're like, what kind of content should I post? How often should I post? Where should I find the content? They don't know any of that. And what happens is, until they figure out that, the page starts dying, right? Because they didn't upload for a month or whatever. Also, the purchasing of the page confusion. Like, I'm telling you, in the past few months, I've heard so many people getting scammed out of their pages, big pages, because they sold and didn't sell really, but they sold to scammers, right? And they stole the pages, and also no growth plan. So a lot of people just would invest like 1 grand into a page and have no idea how to monetize it, how to run the content. And it's like, you're just wasting your money. You should have proof of concept, or just know how you're going to monetize the page before you do anything else, right? So my personal strategy for monetization and expansion, I'm just going to keep on buying pages because it has compounding returns. I've been running pages, let's say 4.5 years now, and had some incredible results. And those pages led me to be in places that I never would have went to, kind of, by not owning the pages. So compounding the returns by building a huge network. How cool it would be to run 100 million follower network on Instagram. You're the guy basically. Also, diversified risk. When you have like 20 pages, let's say, that you bought and you're running at the same time, even if one gets banned, you're like, yeah, sucks, but it's not like the end of the world. If you have one page, not really cool. Also, cross promotion. Like, when you have more pages like this, you can pretty much promote each page, right? So if I have like, this page, for example, is in horror or a scary niche. Let's say if I have another page in that niche, we can cross promote and kind of grow off each other, and share the growth. So I can, double the speed of growth pretty much by just doing collaborations and, economies of scale. So my one VA right now can run like 6 pages, but if I teach her correctly and I pay her a little bit more and we implement some better systems, she could run like 10 pages at the same time, if not 15, right? So I would still have to pay one VA, not 10 VAs, to run all these pages. Potentially, running 20, 30 pages could be done by 2 full-time VAs. Pretty simple. And also increased monetization power. So if a brand comes in and they're like, hey, we'll pay you $1,000 for you to post this post on passionate income, I can be like, wait a minute, would you like to be on this page, on this page, on this page, on this page? And they'll probably say yes, because it's just easier for them. So I end up making way more money. So how can you implement this strategy? So first of all, set very clear criteria what you want. So how many followers minimum, what kind of niche, and what's your budget? If you set that, it's way easier to find a page and buy a page. Don't message me on Instagram, hey, I'm looking to buy a page. Like, how can I help you without knowing what you're actually looking for? There are many pages, many different niches, many price ranges, many budgets. So let's say you set a budget. Okay, I have $1,000. I want a page with minimum 80K followers. I want a page in the business niche, right? Okay, boom. You have that criteria, that set criteria, and now you're looking at the market way different. Then you want to build VA systems, right? So you don't want to be logged into the account and not knowing what are the next steps. You want everything prepared, so as soon as you log into that page that you bought, you're ready to go, you're ready to move, you're ready to make some cash. Also, you want to research properly, okay? Before buying any page, go deep into the insights, research the page. How old is the page? What kind of content they've been posting? What's working? What's not working? What audience are they attracting? And so on and so forth. That's super, super important. And also, I would say start small. You don't need, I just bought a page with 600K followers last month. You don't need to buy a 600K follower page to start off with. I bought that page because I know what to do with it. I know how to make my money back from it relatively quickly. I know how to monetize it, right? So keep that in mind, and also scale gradually. A lot of people just buy 3 pages at the same time, not knowing what they're doing, and then they just end up losing money. So the main takeaway, just buy a page around 100K followers for a fair price and know how you're going to monetize it. The previous video, I talked about how to monetize it with digital products, which is the best thing to do. But what's the best thing to do? If you go down below in the description of this video, I have a 6-hour, yes, you heard that correctly, 6-hour training for you, which is absolutely brand new. I just released it last week, okay, to my private email list. If you just click the link, enter your email, you'll get 6 hours of pure value, okay? That's not just on YouTube somewhere. That's private content that hasn't been released before, okay? So just go ahead, link down below in the description, 6-hour training for you. And then if you want my help to do everything here, DM me the word coach on Instagram @ownerarnas. I'll see you in the next one.